get started. Welcome to the podcast, Sachi.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Or should I say Miss Polygon?
Yes, Miss Polygon.
How did that name come about?
So I actually got inspired by Miss Bitcoin.
Okay.
So there's like a Japanese influencer, like Bitcoin Maxi,
Right.
that actually has a lot of followers and is also pretty popular within the Japanese community.
Right.
And I feel like Polygon does have some influencers, but they don't have like a size chat similar to like Arbitrums.
Right.
And Polygon is basically how I got into crypto. So that's why, I decided I'm going to become a Polygon evangelist. And I thought Miss Polygon sounded really.
Who is Sachi and what is your story?
So long story short, I am like a world traveler. I was born in Japan, but I'm also half Peruvian. So I lived in multiple countries my entire life. So I think that has helped me get like a pretty good international perspective on things. Like I lived in Japan for 12 years, the US for 5 years, lived in Venezuela for all of high school, and then I went to college in LA.
Right.
So yeah, I majored in electrical engineering, went to Caltech. I realized that engineering wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to do kind of like a more business/finance oriented field. So that's how I luckily, got an internship at Bank of America, and I was doing sales and trading for a couple of years. I was doing bond trading, credit trading, which is a very different world, but I think it gave me a pretty solid understanding or the fundamentals of how finance works, which I think is applicable to DeFi as well. So it was during the pandemic where I met Sandeep. And back then, which was about 3-4 years ago, Polygon was still Matic.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I would meet Sandeep, like the company was reaching an inflection point in growth. So, the second time I met him, he just was speaking to Mihalo about joining as a co-founder and also talking about rebranding to Polygon. And then the conversations of acquiring Mir and Hermes was going on as well. And I was seeing that and I was like, wow, like Sandeep is making all of the right moves to prepare for the next bull run. So at a certain point, I was like, I need to become part of this. Like I need to become part of crypto. So I joined without, necessarily knowing what my role was.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of more fluid. Like I would become part of the team and then I would figure out, what are the needs within the company. So at the timing was perfect. Like Sandeep announced publicly that he's going to dedicate $100 million from the Polygon treasury to invest within the Polygon ecosystem to grow the ecosystem. But there wasn't like a formal process about how to do it. And I think it's really important to have a process in terms of evaluating those deals, making sure that it's a good investment decision. Does the valuation make sense? Is the team really strong? So I was like the first person on the team to set up Polygon Ventures. And we set up like a general framework. Like we had we set up a former like IC.
So before anything else, you were first early to Polygon and then you were early to all your other deals as I see.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I was like very lucky at the time. And a lot of things, just fell into place when I joined.